My name is Rachel Carter, and at 29, I've learned that sometimes the sweetest revenge comes not from planning, but from simply being excellent at what you do. When my younger sister Emma announced her engagement to Marcus Wellington III, I smiled and celebrated despite every instinct telling me something was wrong. Little did I know that his arrogance would soon collide with reality in the most spectacular way possible. Growing up in Seattle, Emma and I were as different as night and day. She was the golden child with her sparkling personality and effortless charm, while I was the bookworm who spent Friday nights studying instead of partying. Our parents, both hardworking teachers, always said Emma had the social skills while I had the academic drive. They meant it kindly, but it carved paths we both unconsciously followed. After high school, I worked 3 jobs to put myself through the University of Washington's business program. While Emma went to community college and flourished in her social circles, I pushed through my MBA, graduating summa cum laude with crushing student debt. My career began at a mid-sized consulting firm where I quickly made a name for myself by identifying inefficiencies and implementing solutions that saved companies millions. I climbed the ladder methodically, analyst to senior consultant to director. At family dinners, when asked about work, I'd simply say, "It's going well," before redirecting attention to Emma's latest adventures. She bounced between jobs in retail and marketing, always well-liked but never quite finding her calling. I helped her financially sometimes, quietly transferring money for rent or car repairs, never mentioning it to preserve her pride. 6 months ago, Emma called me practically vibrating with excitement. "Rach, I've met someone incredible. His name is Marcus Wellington, and he works at Wellington and Associates, the investment firm downtown. His family basically owns half of Seattle's financial district." They'd met at a charity gala where Emma was working as an event photographer. Marcus, apparently smitten by her beauty and vivacious personality, had pursued her relentlessly. Within weeks, they were inseparable. When I first met Marcus at dinner, I was struck by his polished appearance and obvious wealth. Designer everything, perfect teeth, the kind of confidence that comes from never having to worry about money. He dominated our conversation, name-dropping constantly and speaking over me whenever I tried to contribute. "Your sister is quite different from you," he commented when Emma stepped away. "She has such natural elegance in social situations." The compliment to my sister carried an implicit criticism of me that I chose to ignore, focusing instead on Emma's happiness. 3 months later, Emma called at midnight, breathless with excitement. He proposed. Marcus proposed tonight at the Space Needle restaurant. "The ring is 3 carats, Rachel, 3 carats. We're thinking a spring wedding, and I need your help planning everything. You're so good with details and logistics." I swallowed my reservations. "I'd be honored to help, Em. Congratulations." "Oh, and Marcus wants to meet Saturday to start planning. He knows this amazing wedding planner who works with all the Seattle elite families. This is going to be the wedding of the century." The following Saturday, I arrived at Le Bernardin, one of Seattle's most exclusive restaurants, 15 minutes early. I wore my standard business attire, a navy blazer and matching skirt, professional but understated. The maitre d' led me to a private dining room where Emma, Marcus, and an impeccably dressed woman with a leather portfolio were already seated, champagne flutes in hand. "Rachel." Emma jumped up to hug me. "Isn't this place amazing? Marcus comes here all the time for business dinners." Marcus barely looked up from his phone as he offered a distracted, "Hello, Rachel." No handshake, no champagne offered for me. "This is Victoria Ashworth," Emma introduced the elegant woman. "She's planned weddings for the governor's family and several Fortune 500 CEOs. When the waiter approached for my drink order, Marcus interjected before I could speak. "She'll just have water. We need someone clear-headed to take notes," he said with a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. Emma laughed nervously. "Oh, Rachel doesn't mind. She's always the responsible one." For the next hour, I watched Marcus dominate every decision, from the 7-course menu to the imported Italian marble for the custom dance floor. Each time I offered a suggestion, he either talked over me or dismissed it outright. When I mentioned that Emma had always loved sunflowers, Marcus actually scoffed. Sunflowers? No, Victoria. We discussed white orchids imported from Thailand. The budget is unlimited, as I mentioned. The breaking point came when discussion turned to the wedding party. Emma mentioned you'll be the maid of honor, Victoria said to me. We'll need your measurements for the custom Vera Wang gowns. Before I could respond, Marcus interrupted. Actually, we've been reconsidering that. My cousin Sophia really should have that honor given the family connections. But Rachel, we'd love your help with logistics, tracking RSVPs, coordinating transportation, that sort of thing. Emma looked startled. Marcus, we never discussed. Darling, we talked about making the right social connections for our future, he said condescendingly. Rachel understands. She's happy to help behind the scenes, aren't you, Rachel? The table fell silent. Even Victoria looked uncomfortable. Behind the scenes, I repeated, my voice dangerously calm. Marcus waved dismissively. You know what I mean. You're so good with organization and details. Sophia couldn't manage a grocery list, but she's a Wellington. It's just how these things work in our circles. I looked at Emma, waiting for her to defend me. Instead, she said weakly, Marcus is just stressed about work. Maybe it would be easier if you handled the coordination stuff, Ratch. You're so good at that. I felt like I'd been slapped. Standing slowly, I placed my napkin on the table. I think I've heard enough for today. Emma, call me when you want to talk, just as sisters. As I walked away, I heard Marcus mutter, so sensitive. This is why people from certain backgrounds struggle in higher circles, Emma. They don't understand proper social hierarchies. That Monday, I was reviewing quarterly reports when my assistant buzzed me. Miss Carter, the CEO of Pinnacle Financial called personally. He wants you to call him back immediately. Pinnacle Financial was the largest investment firm on the West Coast and Wellington and Associates' biggest competitor. I'd met their chairman, David Morrison, at an industry conference where I'd presented on blockchain security implementations. Curious and slightly concerned, I returned the call. Rachel, thank you for getting back to me so quickly. David's warm voice came through. I'll cut to the chase. Our CEO is stepping down, and after reviewing your work and watching your conference presentation, our board unanimously agrees you're exactly who we need. We'd like to offer you the CEO position. I nearly dropped the phone. CEO of Pinnacle Financial. It was beyond my wildest dreams, a position I hadn't expected to be considered for until at least age 40. David outlined the compensation package and strategic vision while I sat in stunned silence. One detail particularly caught my attention. They wanted to keep the announcement confidential until their annual shareholder meeting in 4 weeks. After hanging up, I sat processing what had just happened. Not only had I been offered my dream job, but it was at the company that directly competed with Marcus's firm. The same Marcus who had just relegated me to wedding coordinator. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of poetic justice. The next morning, I found myself in Pinnacle's glass-walled headquarters, signing confidentiality agreements before meeting with the board. The top-floor conference room offered panoramic views of Elliott Bay, but I was too focused on the 12 distinguished individuals around the table. Miss Carter, your reputation precedes you, said Margaret Chen, the silver-haired board chairwoman. Your innovative approach to digital security increased your current firm's efficiency by 28% while reducing operational risks. Impressive doesn't begin to cover it. The meeting progressed smoothly as I outlined my vision for Pinnacle's future. They listened intently as I discussed expanding their digital offerings while maintaining traditional wealth management strengths. We've been losing ground to more aggressive firms like Wellington and Associates, David admitted. They've been poaching clients with promises of higher returns, but their risk management practices are questionable at best. I kept my expression neutral at the mention of Marcus's company. I believe we can compete effectively without compromising our integrity. Sustainable growth always beats flashy short-term gains. By meeting's end, I had officially accepted the position. The contract included a substantial salary, performance bonuses, stock options, and a corner office with that magnificent bay view. More importantly, I would be leading a company known for its ethical practices and innovative approaches to wealth management. As I left Pinnacle's building, I felt exhilarated and apprehensive. This was my moment, the culmination of years of hard work. Yet I couldn't share it with anyone, not even Emma. That evening, Emma called, her voice full of apologies. "Rach, I'm so sorry about Saturday. Marcus didn't mean it the way it sounded." How exactly should I have interpreted being called behind the scenes help Emma? He's under tremendous pressure at work. Wellington is bidding for this huge municipal contract, and he's leading the team. He barely sleeps anymore. I sighed, deciding to keep peace for now. I understand stress, but that doesn't excuse disrespect. I know. He wants to apologize in person. We're having dinner with his boss next Thursday, some important business dinner. He specifically asked if you'd join us. Please, Rachel. It would mean everything to me. I hesitated, then smiled to myself. Thursday dinner. I'll be there. Really? Oh, thank you. And Rachel? Dress professionally. Marcus says his boss doesn't suffer fools or poor presentation. After hanging up, I sat back in my chair. Marcus's boss would be David Morrison, the very man who had just hired me as CEO, the man who would soon be my colleague, not my superior. Sometimes the universe doesn't just have irony, it has perfect timing. Thursday arrived with typical Seattle drizzle. I selected my outfit carefully, a charcoal gray suit with subtle silver accents, professional yet confident. I arrived at Canlis, one of Seattle's most prestigious restaurants, precisely on time. The maitre d' led me to a private dining area where Emma, Marcus, and an older gentleman were already seated. Marcus stood as I approached, his expression shifting from annoyance at the interruption to forced politeness. "Rachel, right on time," he said, his voice tight. "I was just telling David about our family connections." The older man turned, and I found myself face to face with David Morrison. His momentary surprise quickly transformed into a warm smile of recognition. "Rachel Carter," he said, extending his hand. "What an unexpected pleasure." Marcus looked between us, confusion evident. "You two know each other?" David clasped my hand firmly. "Indeed we do. Ms. Carter delivered the most innovative presentation on financial security I've seen in 20 years at the Western Finance Conference. Her blockchain integration strategies were groundbreaking." Marcus forced a laugh. "Small world. Rachel never mentioned meeting you." "She's Emma's sister," he added, as if that explained my entire existence. "Is that so?" David raised an eyebrow. "Well, she's being characteristically modest. Rachel is one of the most brilliant minds in our industry." Emma beamed with pride and confusion. "Rach, you never told me you knew Marcus's boss." I smiled gently. It never came up. As we settled at the table, David gestured for me to take the seat beside him, much to Marcus's obvious displeasure. Marcus attempted to regain control of the conversation. "David was just telling me about Pinnacle's exciting new direction," he said eagerly. "Apparently, you've finally found a replacement for your retiring CEO." "Indeed we have," David replied, his eyes twinkling as he glanced at me. "We conducted an extensive search and found exactly the right person to lead Pinnacle into its next chapter." Marcus leaned forward eagerly. "Anyone in the industry I might know? If you're looking at Seattle talent, I'd be honored to be considered for senior positions." David paused as the server arrived with appetizers. After they departed, he raised his wine glass and addressed the table. "Actually, since we're among friends, I'd like to make an early announcement." He turned to me with a smile. "I'd like to toast Pinnacle Financial's new Chief Executive Officer, Rachel Carter, who'll be taking the helm next month." The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus's face drained of color, his wine glass frozen halfway to his lips. Emma's eyes widened in shock as she stared at me. "I don't understand." Marcus finally managed, his voice strained. "It's quite simple," David replied smoothly. "After observing Rachel's exceptional work over the past few years, our board unanimously agreed. She has exactly the vision and leadership qualities Pinnacle needs." Marcus set his glass down with shaking hands, wine sloshing over the rim. "But she's just..." "Just what, Marcus?" David asked, his tone pleasant but eyes suddenly sharp. I watched Marcus struggle to recalibrate in real time. His shock transformed into an unconvincing smile as he realized his precarious position. Just someone I've always recognized has tremendous potential, he finished smoothly. In fact, I was telling Emma just recently what an asset Rachel would be to any organization. Emma's bewildered expression made it clear this was a complete lie, but she remained silent. I hope you don't mind my jumping the gun on our announcement, Rachel, David said to me. I couldn't resist when the opportunity presented itself. Not at all, I replied calmly, though I squeezed Emma's hand under the table. Her fingers were ice cold, but she squeezed back. This is incredible, Ratch, Emma whispered. CEO of Pinnacle Financial. That's huge. Marcus cleared his throat, attempting damage control. Absolutely incredible. Emma's always said her sister was destined for great things. The remainder of dinner proceeded with excruciating politeness. Marcus tried desperately to salvage his dignity by claiming he'd always known I was exceptional, while David deliberately steered conversation toward Pinnacle's strategic plans that would directly compete with Wellington's market share. When Marcus excused himself to the restroom, David leaned toward me. I had no idea you were connected to Marcus Wellington, he said quietly. Interesting timing. Professionally, we're not connected, I replied. My sister's relationship didn't seem relevant to my qualifications. David nodded thoughtfully. Fair enough. Though it does create fascinating dynamics, given our competitive relationship with Wellington. When Marcus returned, his composure seemed restored, though tension radiated from every pore. As we prepared to leave, he insisted on paying despite David's protests. I insist, Marcus said. It's not every day we celebrate such surprising career developments. Outside the restaurant, Marcus pulled me aside while David helped Emma with her coat. What the hell was that? He hissed, his genial mask slipping completely. You deliberately humiliated me in front of my boss. I did nothing of the sort, I replied calmly. You managed that entirely on your own. You could have warned me you knew David. Do you have any idea how this makes me look? I told him you were family help, for God's sake. Perhaps that's a lesson in not underestimating people, I suggested. Especially women you consider beneath your notice. His face flushed with anger. This isn't over, Rachel. You may be hot stuff at Pinnacle, but the Wellingtons have influence throughout Seattle's business community. Is everything all right? David's voice interrupted as he approached with Emma. Marcus's expression instantly transformed. Absolutely. Just congratulating my future sister-in-law properly. Indeed, David replied skeptically. Rachel, shall I walk you to your car? There's one more matter I'd like to discuss. As we stepped away, David spoke quietly. I've known Marcus Wellington for 3 years, Rachel. He's ambitious, but ultimately mediocre, riding on family connections rather than talent. Whatever he just said, don't let it unsettle you. I can handle Marcus, I assured him. I have no doubt. That's precisely why you're going to make an exceptional CEO. Over the following days, Emma moved between confusion, pride, and guilt. She apologized repeatedly for Marcus's behavior while trying to process the revelation of my new position. Meanwhile, I began my transition to Pinnacle, meeting secretly with the executive team. David kept me informed about the fallout at Wellington and Associates. Marcus has been removed from several key accounts, he explained. The municipal contract bid he was leading? The city chose Pinnacle instead. Apparently, some questions arose about Wellington's risk assessment practices. 2 weeks after the disastrous dinner, Emma called me in tears. Rachel, I broke up with Marcus. What happened? He's been increasingly paranoid and controlling since that dinner. Last night, he accused me of conspiring with you to ruin his career. When I defended you, he said things about our family, about our background, that I can't forgive. I felt relief flood through me. I'm proud of you, Em. That took courage. I finally saw him clearly. His arrogance, his sense of entitlement, the way he looks down on anyone he considers beneath him. You tried to warn me. I just wanted you to be happy. I am happy, she said, surprising me. For the first time in months, I feel like myself again. And Rachel, I'm so proud of you. CEO of Pinnacle Financial. You've worked so hard for this. The official announcement of my appointment came a week later. Pinnacle stock rose 12% on the news, and industry publications praised the board's forward-thinking choice. My parents, initially stunned by the magnitude of my achievement, threw a celebration dinner where my father proudly recounted every career milestone I'd ever achieved. "I've kept every article and mention," he admitted. "Just because I didn't always understand the technical aspects doesn't mean I wasn't paying attention." 6 months into my tenure as CEO, Pinnacle had exceeded all performance expectations. We'd won 3 major contracts from Wellington and Associates, including the municipal account Marcus had desperately wanted. Our ethical approach to business and innovative technological integration attracted clients seeking both security and growth. Marcus, according to industry gossip, had been demoted to senior account manager. His family connections could only protect him so far when results consistently fell short. Emma, meanwhile, had discovered her own path. Using the organizational skills she developed planning her aborted wedding, she launched a boutique event planning company specializing in corporate functions and charity galas. Her natural charisma, combined with a newfound confidence, quickly attracted high-profile clients. One evening, as we shared dinner at our favorite childhood restaurant, Emma raised her wine glass. "To the Carter sisters," she said with a smile. "May we always remember that other people's limitations are not our own. And may we never again accept being called just the help in our own stories," I added, clinking my glass against hers. Looking at my sister, confident, independent, and genuinely happy, I realized that Marcus's arrogance had inadvertently given us both the greatest gift, the clarity to see our own worth and the courage to demand nothing less than the respect we deserved. Sometimes the people who try to diminish you end up being the catalyst for your greatest success. Marcus Wellington III had called me just the help, never imagining that the quiet woman taking notes would soon be running his biggest competitor. But then again, people who consistently underestimate others rarely see their own downfall coming until it's already arrived. The sweetest revenge, I learned, isn't elaborate schemes or calculated payback. It's simply being so exceptional at what you do that those who doubted you have no choice but to watch from the sidelines as you soar past them. And that, I thought as I looked across the table at my sister's proud smile, is a lesson worth remembering.